And hello again, and here we are with my bike. It's back to the workshop. I've just ridden it home, and the first impressions are it's a bloody cold day. It's currently about 2 degrees centigrade, so I'm not going to be out here too long. Yeah, but overall the handling's fine, a lot more ground clearance now, which is great. And if you look back to one of the other videos, you can see how low the back end was before we modified the swing arm. What else? The tackle speedo works well, although I think the speedo does overread a wee bit, but that can be quite easily recalibrated. What else? The bike still needs some bar ends, but I can make them at some point quite soon, so that's not really a problem. However, we're not quite finished yet, because we're making an aluminium version of this swing arm. This one's in steel, it weighs 34 pounds, and hopefully we can make a replica in billet alloy, which should come in at about 16 pounds. And that's going quite well, and I've got a few videos about that process on here. But I'm now having a rethink, because that alloy swing arm may not end up on this bike. And to talk about that, let's go inside, because it's far too cold out here right now. And here we have a box, and in the box we have a pair of shocks. Oops, for a Harley. And in fact, they're for a Harley Softail. But sadly, they don't fit my bike, because my bike's an Evo, and these shocks are made for a later twin cam model. And let's just get them open, look at them. And I actually bought these thinking they would fit an Evo Softail, but they don't. I didn't realise it at the time. But the good news is they were very, very cheap, and even though it was sort of the wrong model, I thought, oh well, they'll come in handy one day. And that day may well be coming quite soon. Now, the reason why you're looking at it now is because these shocks could well be the first little acorn of a brand new project. And so to talk more about the future project that these shocks may one day be used on, let's go and have a look at one of my other bikes, and I'll explain more. And here we have my drag bike. This is a complete one-off bike. It's got a modified frame, one-off wheels. The engine's a 127 cubic inch Evo motor. It's got air shifter on it and so on. And it was built for a bit of fun using some parts I had left over from a previous project. That was about 2 or 3 years ago. But since then, I've never used it, because basically, well, for 2 reasons. First of all, I hurt my back, so I wasn't able to ride it. But second of all, last year when I thought, yeah, I'm fit enough now to actually ride the bike, it turned out that I wasn't allowed to. It doesn't fit any particular categories these days. So I thought, well, no problem, I'll ride it in a few local events run by the NSA, that is to say, the National Sprint Association. The problem is twofold. First of all, they said, hang on a minute, you can't race this thing because the engine's too big. We've now got a limit of 1200cc on all the bikes that race, so you can't race that. Which is a bit silly really, because this engine makes probably less power than a modern sports bike, a 1000cc sports bike, so I can't really see why they've done that. But the second reason is, all local events now have very strict noise regulations. They actually have noise checks before you race, and this thing would break those noise regulations just at idle. And to try and make it fit those regulations, to try and make it so quiet that it's allowed to run, it would just be impossible. I mean, this exhaust pipe would have to go, I mean, where on earth you put a big baffle on it, I don't know. The baffle would have to be huge, like a car baffle, to try and get the noise down. So overall then, it's just been sitting here for 2 years, unused. So I had a little idea in the back of my head for quite a while now to say, well, rather than leave it as an unusable drag bike, why not convert it into a road bike? And certainly lots of folks have said, hey, this bike would look so cool as a road bike, which it would. Now, there are several reasons why I wouldn't use this bike as is, as a road bike. And the most obvious one is it's a hardtail. And I'm far too old to be riding around on a hardtail bike these days. And the second reason is the ground clearance, or rather the lack of ground clearance. It's got about, at most, 2.5 inches there, so that's not going to do very well out on the road with speed humps and bumps and God knows what else. And the last reason is the rake. This frame's been raked out to 43 degrees, which is again fine for a drag bike, but not so fine as a road bike. It would make the steering very heavy. Yeah, not ideal for a road bike. And so overall then, this frame is not suitable as a road bike, or at least not for me. So what I'm thinking is, let's strip it all down, let's keep all the good things, the wheels, the brakes, the engine, the gearbox, the primary, the front end, and let's make a new frame for this bike with a swing arm. And in fact, that swing arm could well be the lightweight alloy swing arm I'm having made now. Although made to suit my 131, it could well be used on a new project with this bike instead. Now what I have to do is I'd have to get the frame made specially to suit that swing arm. But that's not an issue because I know a man called Briz of CCD Developments in Lincolnshire who can make me a new frame and make it as a one-off to suit that new swing arm. And in fact he did do the modifications to this frame back about 2 or 3 years ago to turn it from a chop frame into a drag bike frame. And so I've got every confidence that he could make the frame I need and do it really, really well. And the price need not be that high. I think I could get that done for just a little bit more than £1,000, which is cheaper than having a standard frame bought from the likes of Zodiac or CCI from the States. And so overall then, I think this idea of converting this drag bike into a road bike is a real possibility. I still have to do a bit more work. I've got to think it through, work out the costs and so on. But what I'm looking for is to build a bike a bit similar to my 131 Merch, but where that's sort of half road bike, half show bike, what this would be is a pure road bike. It would be all go and no show, very fast, very light, should handle well, and yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So that's a future possible project, and stay tuned and we'll see if it actually happens or not. So thanks for watching and cheers.